Hello, everybody, and members of the Mentalist Entrepreneur Circle. Now, today we're lucky enough to have Ben Fielding with us. So, Ben's been a partner with one of my other groups for like a million years. He used to do a very cool thing when he'd turn up and sit there like he'd been stalking everybody and say what was wrong with their systems and how he'd been breaking into them, which is a good way to prove that people's what they think is safe and secure actually isn't. So that was always good value. So talk about land with a bang. And I just don't even know how many recommendations you've got, but across our groups, 30 or 40 people would always say, think once, think twice, whatever you do, by Ben. So, Ben, how's that for an intro, by the way, bud?
I don't know. I'm going to top that. Really, we'll just end it there, shall we?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he does tech. Um, I don't know how you badge yourself these days. We just know if it's gone wrong, go to Ben, and if it went wrong, it's because you didn't go to Ben in the first place. So that's where you kind of fit in for everybody who's running businesses these days. Reasonably priced, fractional CFO, as well as they're coming up with your whole strategy piece. And we were just talking in passing about buying decisions, what to do and what not to do. Tell us a bit about yourself in your own words rather than me just do that.
Well, the Whistle Stop Tour is a failed graphic designer who fell into IT through media, discovered that technology was much more exciting than fluffy pictures, although I love a bit of design as a hobby. I've corporate career and then into setting up my own tech company, and then kind of diversified a bit more in the last few years. So, still helping deliver uh, technology as a service to people, managed services. My weird super niche is I'm an email systems expert, but I also guide and advise on strategy, cyber, infrastructure. Um, yeah, I feel there's some other bits in there somewhere as well, but that's
But you
me.
know, in passing, we might just want to touch upon warming up emails and what you can do these days in terms of quantity getting out the door. So people like Matt Springham mentioned is up to 100,000 with 1.8% return rate of engagement. When you're doing that sort of number, that's all right, but
Yeah.
that's hard work for that sort of rate return, isn't it?
Hard graft and a lot of time and effort, but yeah, a lot of businesses I work with, the foot in the door kind of conversation is my email outreach isn't working, email marketing's not working, day-to-day emails aren't working, and we'd start uncovering what's causing that, and kind of governance and control, and buying the right tech in the first place and having the right knowledge to make the decisions is sits behind a lot of the issues. Um,
Should we start there then?
yeah, uh, but
Well,
from
I'll give you the cod number one. You have control.
okay, thank you, Gary. um, Yeah, a lot of the problems I see in businesses, large or small, is making the wrong decisions about tech, basically with the lack of information. And normally, a business has got access to or someone in their life who's really good at tech that. After the company's gone and bought something, they said, "Oh, I wish you'd have said something because X, Y, Z, or we've discovered this." So yeah, I mean, I've got a few things to put on screen just to keep me true, or else I'll rabbit on forever. So this is more for my benefit than for everyone else's.
Well,
Um, but very much this is about making sure you're involving technology representatives in your business. They might be internal, they might be external, might be a consultant, might be someone you've got a long-term relationship with, but getting them involved in the decisions you're making in your business. I think most businesses recognize this. They think they're overpaying for some of the tech. At least you've bought stuff and you're only using a fraction of it, or you've got tied up in some weird contract, getting locked into things when you didn't really understand the commitments, the minimum seat counts, the add-ons that you need. But the biggest problems I see really are the stuff that really causes pain is you bought something thinking it does something and then turns out it's not very good at it, or you need to buy an extra part that plugs on. Or I wasn't aware after I signed this there was going to be a massive bump of cost to get it up and running properly, or it doesn't integrate with the systems I've already got. And I'm not saying all salespeople lie, but salespeople do like to sell the sizzle. But you really need to understand, the sausage that sits behind that, and does this actually do what I want it to do? But yeah, most businesses will see these kinds of issues in a business. I'm sure everyone watching this has recognized at least one of these, maybe all of them. Um, the contract tie and stuff is difficult. I'm not the guy to help fix that. Overpaying, we can have a look at that. I definitely can help with and understanding if tech you've already bought can do more. It's just not been implemented well. Yeah, that's stuff that we can focus on. So that's the problem that the problems that most businesses experience.
Do you,
How we
buddy, sorry, do you find that, because I know I'm guilty of this. I think if I'm going to get some kit in, then between us, we'll be able to work out how to use it, plug it in. So its operation is running at like 50%. And we didn't even know it could do other things because we haven't explored it properly. We're just using the bare minimum. So I'm guessing always have a professional PM, whatever you're doing with this stuff, to actually make sure it's plugged in right. Or is it is it a bigger issue than that?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be the core features which a software vendor or a systems vendor is going to be selling on because they believe that's the biggest problems. They believe, based on what they know from other customers, people love these features. But they're going to be some of the features that sit further down the stack that they might not get into, but it could make a huge difference in your business. So understanding the capabilities of any systems you're thinking of moving to is absolutely critical because it might not be the big feature that you bought in. It might be the lower level features that integrate with systems that are already in place that make a massive difference. But pulling stuff apart is absolutely key. So how we get to these problems are the relationship with the technology people in and around your business is kind of seen as quite a functional thing, not a strategic thing. It's I've done this, can you fix it? We bought this, can you make it work? We're going to choose one of these two. Which one should I choose? And it's well, hold on a second. Let's go all the way back to the beginning here, right? What was the problem? Why have you bought this? What was your selection process? What were the alternatives? What's wrong with the old system? Yeah, people are signing up contracts and then realizing it doesn't do stuff because there's been no proper tech review of it. Um, Gary recognized this with a lot of businesses he works with, but it's the sales team are controlling or dictating what's getting bought because that business is achieving XYZ and they're using this, so we need to use it as well. So, well, okay, hold on a second. What does the business actually need? Is that product going to integrate with other systems you might not be aware of in the rest of your business? The long-term agreements bit, yeah, it's having the right people looking at the contracts you're signing and making sure you've got the right break clauses and tying stuff into functionality, especially promised functionality that hasn't been delivered yet. And independent benchmarking, basically someone who isn't constrained by the pressures of the day-to-day running of your business, looking at these solutions and working out which one is the best one for you from a practical perspective. And this goes to the first point here. Um, Never shop when you're hungry. Everyone said that, don't go food shopping when you're hungry. Don't go buying a piece of tech when you're pissed off, when you're emotive, when you're panicking, when you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, when your current providers let you down and you've just had enough, right? When it's all blowing up emotively, that is not the time to be making decisions about buying new tech. And getting the right people and having the right conversations in the business around that tech perspective is really useful. But bringing all this together is really what is the problem I'm trying to solve? What's the problem? What needs fixing with the solutions I've currently got? But also what worked really, really well. And I think a lot of businesses do switch systems and then realize, oh, we can't do that as well anymore. That feature that we loved in the old system, we don't have in the new system. Well, they said it was going to work this way, but it doesn't work in the same way. That used to take us 2 minutes a day. This now takes us half an hour. Or I've now got to go and buy another product to plug it in to do what we would class as the basics really, really well. And this is even before you've even started looking at solutions. You're just you're just trying to get yourself ready, right? This is prepping up for making the right decisions, making sure you've got all the information. Um, Going back to something that we were talked about before, Gary, is and you mentioned it, is if everyone else is doing this. I need to do it as well. Everyone else is shifting to this vendor. It's the best thing since sliced bread. Or is it complete marketing BS, right? If it's quite new, then you might not have that legacy of feedback from businesses that have used it for 1, 2, 3, 4 years. You might be a business that can adapt and roll and make a decision to switch and go, we're going to give this a go for a year. It's a 12-month contract. Let's go all in. It's new, it's shiny. If it doesn't work, we can just shift again. If you're a business of 50, 60, 80, 100, 500 people, you can't be flip-flopping across systems all the time. You're just, the team will get fatigued of change all the time. Um, but yeah, really defining what it is you're trying to fix and just making sure you're not throwing out the baby with the bathwater when you're switching systems, right? Because do you really understand what everyone in your business is doing? Do you understand what systems and functions and capabilities are really important to them that make their job work really, makes them really efficient and effective at their job? You might think you know, and like you say, bringing in someone like a PM who can look at this and put their business analyst hat on and really understand all the processes, all the interactions between various people, teams, third parties, and systems, and then can be like, okay, so this is the only problem here, right? You could tolerate an aging looking interface if it did these three things really well. Could we fix that problem much more easily than replacing the whole system and then having to review everything and all our integrations and our data migration that goes with it, or whatever it might be? So the prep's really important, right? It's like decorating. Most of the hard work happens before you even put paint on the wall, right? All getting things in a great position. So when you finally make that decision, it's the right decision and it works really, really well. Um, Stage two is really, we're into evaluating stuff now. This is thinking about the future. I'm going to make a decision that's right for my business this year. Will it be the right decision the year after, the year after that, the year after that? Am I expecting this to be a 3 year solution? Therefore, what's going to be the cost of moving away from it in 3 years and preparing for that cost later on, right? Getting into, budgeting for technology is budgeting for ditching systems as well is really important. Um, One of the challenges I see is people just discounting their current situation when they're coming to assessing and shortlisting solutions, right? Where you are today is an option. The systems you're using, the way you're working is one option, right? And it's the cheapest option, right? No, not changing is the cheapest option, right? And then what are the other options? And then balancing out that kind of cost versus reward, and making sure that a move is going to be operationally beneficial to your business, but also, I mean, do you want to spend 10 grand making this change and you get this much benefit? But if I spend 50 grand, I get this much more benefit. It's like, is that bit really worth 40 grand or 400 grand or whatever it is you're going to be spending, right?
I
It's,
see. I think that's a brilliant question, Bud. Because I see so many people increasing their cost of desk and their spend of op costs, but actually it's making no difference to their revenue. So not getting an uptick. All we're actually doing is making it easier for people to do the same amount of business at our cost, so we become less profitable. And that if I was going to take on some new kit, I'd make sure that that cost went through the business. So thresholds went up, expectations, goals, reward schemes got harder. Because of that, I think we'll add an extra half a deal or an extra deal every month. So there's got to be some sort of payback or quid pro quo when coming up with those numbers and stats.
yeah, if there's an expected, if there's an expected uplifting quality of what you're doing, then how are you going to measure that? And like, how do you repay, like you say, how do you repay yourself for the cost of achieving that quality? If you're going to be saving time, then again, what are you going to do with that time that you gain back? What is a team? Are you going to reduce your headcount because you don't need so many people anymore? Are you going to increase targets because their job's easier to do now? Are you going to reduce hours, right? Do you, oh, you can do your job in 30 hours a week now. Fine, I'll just employ you 30 hours a week. If you're happy with that and I'm happy with that, I'll just say 25% of my salaries. Not a very popular option, but I've seen businesses do it. The understanding that ROI, I think that's one of the biggest challenges most businesses have anyway. When you're making decisions about, do I move back to the office? Am I going to increase salaries? Am I going to increase bonuses? Am I going to roll out this new tech? Am I going to send people on training courses? Whatever it might be, is what's the return on investment of every decision you make in your business? Making a systems change, actually committing contractually and going through the potential pain of migrating to a new system is not something you can just undo very easily. Now, if you're going to change the way you work in a business, you can talk about, right, I'm going to try a new hour structure, payment structure, bonus structure. I'm going to get these teams working together differently. You can trial stuff and roll it back because you're just asking people to do things slightly differently. But if you're committing to, if you're spending, as one of my clients does, about 150 grand a year on one system, switching systems and getting it wrong, given it's going to cost them 50, 60 grand to migrate, that's an expense, not just an expensive mistake to make. They'll learn some good lessons from it if it is a mistake, but it's the downtime, potential impact of downtime and productivity within the business. And the fatigue teams get from you seemingly making decisions that aren't beneficial to them. Something I've not talked about on this slide is, how do you get your team buy-in for when you're moving systems and making systems changes? How do you get them involved in the evaluation process and the testing process and get them excited about this new system and what it's going to be able to do? Because then when it's got its challenges and needs a few tweaks, needs a bit of breathing space, they'll kind of be behind it because they see what's coming. They see the benefit to them. We're going to save you 20% of your time. Awesome. I'm happy to get behind this and tolerate the change based on the fact that things are going to work well for me later. Yeah. Anyway, so this is kind of a base framework really for kind of implementing change, but really, I will focus this on new systems, migrating systems. So getting prepped up and then evaluating properly. So from a tech perspective, because there's a lot of elements you can bring into this, but from a tech perspective, put my techie hat on, obviously, making sure that you're getting the tech people that are in and around your business. Now, you could have like application experts already in your business. You could have an outsourced IT company. You could have an IT director. You could have someone on the board who's got a tech experience and background. It's leveraging all that experience to help you really kind of get the whiteboard out, right? What's the problem we're trying to fix here? Let's really clearly define the problem we're going to solve. What does good look like? Not just, I've got 3 new CRM providers. We need to choose which one we're going to move to. Okay, well, why? What does good look like? What are we benching them against each other? What's the problems we're trying to fix? As much as you can, independently assess. Not, my friend Jim has got a company that's a bit like mine, and they've done this and it's transformed their business, so we're going to do it. I can guarantee you, your business, as much as you feel like they're the same, they're very different. People are different, challenges are different, finance is different, customers are different, pressures are different, location might be different, whatever it might be. So you need to assess this logically and data driven, and have someone in the room who's going to be the arsehole, basically. Ask the difficult questions and pull things the other way. Well, I know we say it's going to do this, but how are we going to evidence that? Where's the proof for that? You need someone to pull things the other way, to bring head from the skies and down to logic, or the other way around. If you're being incredibly logical, how do you bring someone in who's going to talk about, well, what could this look like in 2, 3, 4, 5 years? How could we leverage this slightly differently? Right. So you need to pull this apart, or try to pull it apart. Jesus Christ. SLAs and contracts and exit clauses, right? Do get someone to understand what these look like. From a tech perspective, is understanding what might cause a breaking contract from a data perspective. How are we measuring that? How do we report on that? How do we keep an eye on things? If there's things already in the contracts that have break clauses for issues, those issues have happened before. So it's understanding what could the impact of that could be to the business. And every single year, at least every single year, you should be reviewing every piece of technology you use in your business. even if it's 4 minutes into a conversation, everyone's agreed, no, this is still the right system to be using. There is no reason for us to move on, right? Are we consciously deciding to stay with this technology? Yes, we are. Great. So we're committing consciously to another period of buying this software. Yes, we are. Great. Move on. But getting tech involved in those more strategic conversations rather than this just being leaders in a business get together, decide things based on what they see, and then come and tell tech what the decisions are. Well, hold on a second. You do realize that that piece of technology has caused, out of the 400 incidents raised by the business last year for tech to fix, 200 of them with that one system. Oh, really? Oh, didn't know that. Okay, well, let's bring this lens in. So getting people involved in those decisions, in those discussions, is really important because it gives you another lens. You'll have finance, you're going to have sales, you're going to have people, you need tech represented in those strategic reviews of what you're doing with your commitments to your existing stack or potential decisions about new stuff.
I've got to share this with you. So we were very keen to work out which part of our technology was brilliant and offered the best value for money. So first thing we did was told everybody we needed to get £600 a month back, gave them the price of everything, and let the business decide what they wanted. Everybody had their own different flavors of what they liked and what they disliked. But then we started to check. So every time that where did the vacancy come from, or how did we get this, or how do we expand that relationship? And it was on drop downs. And I just knew the drop downs weren't working because people were cheating it. So we changed the first option to don't know, didn't look. And that was the biggest source of candidates and deals across our business for about 3 years. And it's like, oh, until you start playing nice and fair with that, I'm not going to pay full commission. And then suddenly everything changed. And then they started choosing the ones they liked more. Liars. So, it's very hard to control this or get a balanced viewpoint. It does take independence from somebody to have, who isn't tied to any product stream or any alliances or allegiances.
Yeah, there may be one of the comes up every now and again is owner of a business uses a particular technology, service provider, consultant, whatever it might be, and that provider they have a layered relationship with, right? So it's not just a commercial relationship. Could be their brother-in-law, could be the next door neighbor's sister, it could be the godfather of your kids. These relationships have just appeared in the business, and then all of a sudden you're like, this isn't right for us anymore. But I can't get rid of them. I can't. No, it's too difficult. And it's like, well, hold on a second. Should you have got into that relationship in the first place, or should you have got into that relationship agreeing that at some point you won't work together and that that's going to be okay, and the decisions will always be made, yeah, and you shake hands on, right? You're preparing to split up one day. Because ultimately, I don't know many people that have worked with the same service provider for the entire 35-year period of running a business, right? Everything would have shifted. Accountants, lawyers, offices, vehicle leasing, computers, IT provider, CRM, right? Things evolve and change. So predicting that at some point this solution, service, or provider won't be right for you, and preparing for that and preparing to have those conversations is just practical and logical, but it helps you if you've got a framework around it or a process around it, helps you remove the emotion from it.
And we have to be mindful of these contracts these days because it's 3 months recurring. So it's 3 months to the end of the contract, it auto renews. So you need 4 months to then have a month to actually assess whether it's the right product or you're going to go somewhere else. And
Yeah.
you probably need a month to actually realistically do that. How people are surviving without having either an outsourced solution or someone like you, or have someone who's full time these days working on this.
Yeah.
It's otherwise, as a business leader, you could be doing demos every day of the week.
Yeah, and I know people are. I mean, I've had so
Difficult.
many people come to me and say, so I've had a demo of this, and this. I'm just not sure. I think this might be the right one. I quite like this. This is quite cool. I really like the direction of travel. They're really making waves, and I'm expecting this to be the next big thing. It's like, okay, well, what's your innovation budget? What do you mean? Well, what budget have you got set aside to be playing around with new tech? Because maybe what you could do is get 2 licenses and just run 2 people off of it. And if it works, you can roll it out. They're like, well, I don't, well, if we're going to move, we kind of need to move. Well, so it's a big decision to make based off of a gut feel and you like them. Um, all right, what do your team think? Has anyone else been on the demo? Well, no. Okay, this isn't yours, right? You're not using this every day as a business leader. This isn't your tool. You as a I always talk to people about in software dev world, we talk about user stories. So when you're trying to design what a system, how it's going to work and what it's going to do, you'd say, right, as a salesperson, I need this tool to do, and you map out what they need it to do. As the manager of a sales team, this is what I need it to do. As the owner of a business, this is what I need. As a CFO, this is what I need. And then you start to map out actually what people need to do their jobs. And then you can scope out what a system needs to actually achieve. And then you can rank and sort that in order of importance. Big fan of the old Moscow model. Various ways of saying it. The must have, should have, could have, would be nice. Basically, is
You know, Ben, you've lost me because I'm sitting there just thinking it's like getting married without having shag. Then I thought I can't say that, and I've had four
well, you did.
wives, and then I had four wives. It's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So yeah, so I just went off into a dark place all by myself for 2 minutes. Then, but you're
Yeah.
exactly right. Why wouldn't you try it? Well, with a couple of guinea pigs in the corner of the office. And do you know what? I've never done that.
And go and find other people that are using it. Go and look for people that you think might be using that tech. Reach out through your network. Actually, so would you mind if I come and talk to you about your experience of using this? Can I make it, to make an informed decision, um, rather than someone just saying, "Oh, it's awesome." You're in a WhatsApp group. Someone said, "Best thing we ever did was buy this technology." What they didn't tell you is they got someone working on it 12 days a week to make it work. You know, all hours under the sun. They're crazily, kind of frantically cranking the handle in the back end to make this amazing tech. Uh, people I know go out, oh, we bought clay because everyone's using clay. Okay, yeah, and I don't know what I'm doing. Right. You didn't really know what you were buying, did you? No, everyone just said to buy it. I thought it was just like
It's
ChatGPT.
it's really complex as well. The
Yeah.
setup of clay is not a piece of piss. It's not
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
totally
but
get
people,
that.
you don't necessarily know what it is you're buying, and you don't necessarily need to understand that yourself as a business leader, as a business owner. But you need to make sure you've got confidence in the people around you to help you make the right decision. And if
Now
you don't, yeah, go and
I'm
look
off
for
to
them if you don't have them.
I'm off to a washing machine now, so I don't need to know how it works. I just need to know that it does work. But
Yeah.
God, got to calm my brain down today. I'm all over the shop. Not enough sleep. That is just ridiculous. Yeah, and then you
So,
got to plug it in properly, and if it doesn't work, what's blowing the electrics? What's wrong with it? To leave the washing machine alone, Gary.
so 4 quick wins for everyone. Just have a think about like stuff you can do today or start to build into the way that you're running your business is make sure you've got some kind of technical representative within or around your business to basically sign off on you buying stuff. At least to go, have you done your due diligence? What is it we're going to be doing? How is it going to work? Technically, this is going to integrate with the systems you've got. Yes, it does single sign-on. It does data synchronization. It's pass all the technical checks. The data is going to be safe in in Europe or whatever it's going to be that your kind of requirements are. You might have governance frameworks you're part of, or ISO standards you need to adhere to, or cyber assurance or cyber governance or cyber essentials. Does it tick all the boxes there? Um, Go and look at what you already have. Right, you should be mapping out all of your subscriptions, when they expire, when's the last day you need to make a decision about cancelling, renewing, expanding, and then a date in the diary at least a few weeks before that to have a deep dive with the supplier to look at your usage, to look at the features, what's coming, what's not working, speak to your team, get someone involved. Is this in a healthy place? Am I happy to consciously let this auto renew, essentially? Um, do you actually know what you're paying for? Oh, it's really annoying. There's some people selling this app at the moment. They go around and said, "Hey, I bet you don't know all your subscriptions you pay for." And it's a bit of a joke, like, yeah, I know all my subscriptions, but when you look at some businesses, like, what, we're still paying for that? I thought we got rid of that a year ago. Why is that still? I might have given the termination for the contract, but it's still coming out the bank. Why was that not picked up? Independently benchmarking everything, get an independent view, maybe get a consultant in to come and do a deep dive with you. Make sure they're not the ones that already have affiliations with said service providers. Make sure they're quite broad and they've got a good understanding of the industry you're in. If you're in recruitment, get a recruitment tech expert. If you're in healthcare, get a healthcare tech expert. Whatever it might be, get someone to come and look at what you're doing and challenge you on this stuff. And next time you have a strategy day, it might just be you, right? You might be putting aside a day just for you to have a think about your business. There could be a team of you, you could have a board, whatever it's going to be. The next time you have a strategy day, get someone to come from a tech perspective who can think about things in a different way. Understand where you're trying to get to with the business, the other challenges you're facing, and then looking at this from a technology perspective to go, I think we've already got the solution to that in-house, right? We're just not using this tech right. I see what we need to do with our budgets and I understand what you're spending on tech. We need to look at the ROI for all this stuff. Or is there a newer technology or a replacement technology that could help us solve our problems? Don't just invite them along and go, oh, can you patch my laptop while we're chatting? Get someone to come and actually be part of the conversation. You don't necessarily need someone like this in your business full time. If you can have them in your business consistently and keep them included in some of those bigger conversations, it will really help you drive your business forward. You might not feel this immediately, but you will definitely feel it over time. If your plan is to scale, right, let's say surround yourself by people smarter than you, then this is one of those smart people you need to have in your life that you can trust and understands your business. Anyway, so that was the notes I put together for today. The one that always highlights when I chat about this stuff is, don't go shopping when you're hungry. People always smile at that and go, yeah, I've definitely had I'm pissed off with my telephone provider. I've had enough. I've rung them and shouted at them. I've ended the contract and I've just gone out and bought the thing that everyone else buys. I didn't realize how integrated it was. I didn't realize how tied into systems it was. I forgot that we had that bespoke thing written for us and this new system doesn't do it. And it's like, well, you might give them, I'm intending to terminate my contract with you. Expect it, right? There you go. You've got that off your chest. Take up some breathing space. Now start thinking about the what it is you're trying to achieve.
So as a fractional CFO,
CIO.
as a CIO, sorry, I've made you head finance.
I'm definitely not a CFO.
with Optimus Prime behind you. No, with that in mind, I can't remember a meeting I had where if accounts were there, I'd always have. So if I had my finance director there, I'd always have my head of colouring in, and I'd always have my head of tech in that meeting, and that was kind of my go-to. So it was at least once a quarter, if not more. And then if we wanted to launch a new project, I remember it's one of the things that you mentioned there was having people buying really early. And when we were trying to launch new systems and getting people's buy-in, we took some people from the business and put them on secondment for a year, and they became business analysts because they were the only people who really knew what we did. Apart from, well, that's what the training manual says. This is what actually people do.
Yeah, 100%.
And that was really brilliantly useful to have those people there. And also, they were friends with everybody. So the buy-in was really, really powerful.
And they got told the truth, right? And that's they're going to be more honest to a peer than they're going to be to the boss. It just comes with the temperature, right?
Yeah, so that was really useful. And you're right. When I went to S3, I bought three CRMs in 5 years. Now, I did make a commitment that I'd always have the best tech available, and each one got more and more expensive, but our usage always got more expensive as well. And at that point, we just said enough. Right, this is good enough. It doesn't need any more than this. But because each time we changed systems, we lost a month before and a month after, and a month during. So that's a quarter of a year that we lost. over 3 or 5 years.
Yeah.
That's nearly a year's revenue that's gone
Yeah.
down the toilet.
And it depends if you've got a longer term strategy of the business and you're quite a sizable organization and you've got technology you need to evolve, you know where you need to get to, but getting from there to there is incredibly difficult. Having that bridge is absolutely fine. With as an auto trader, we knew the business was moving from a magazine base with a bit of online to being 100% online, but we needed to transform some of these legacy systems, but we knew realistically we're only going to be in place for 3 4 years. So that was the commitment to investment of just building something that had a specific shelf life. So that shaped the way that we costed and supported that technology, but knew eventually it was just not, there was no need for it at all. It was literally going to drop off a cliff.
So,
It
so
was
I
a
guess
conscious
that
decision.
everyone who's listening to this is thinking, okay, when are they going to mention AI?
Sorry.
When are they going to mention AI? So it's, look, I'm pretty outspoken about this. That AI belongs in the back office at the moment, and then in the front office. I just think it's not good enough. What's your opinion on it?
Um, yeah, I would just regurgitate what other people have said. AI is a really great assistant. AI can help replace a lot of tedious functions, but don't confuse AI with automation. Because if you've got a fixed process that you can run again and again, and the data source and the destination is exactly the same, then you replace it with automation, right? AI is there to kind of replace some of the human element or the complex analysis and to go off and do lots of brilliant research and say things more eloquently than you might be able to do yourself. But yeah, I don't think there's a CEO in the land that's expecting to replace themselves with AI. They're not, right? They're going to replace some of the boring stuff that they feel is repetitive with AI, but they're ultimately going to be the one that makes all the decisions. The challenge with AI is you've got free AI, as in not doesn't cost you anything, but it's all based on how you prompt it, and then you've got structured AI, which someone's already built a set of controls and prompts around, and you're working that way. It's just another feature. As far as I'm concerned now, it's just another capability of software. It's another capability of systems. It's not it's not the center of my world. It's I would judge it the same way I would judge any other technology. I've just made a shift from one AI engine to another for some of the stuff that I'm doing. Really happy with the results. I booked some time in to assess and benchmark and see if it's the right thing to do, and then put some time aside to actually do the shift, and it's been successful. If I hadn't have put that time aside and had that assessment, I'd have lost 2 weeks of just sitting and playing with stuff. And that's what a lot of businesses get lost in. The demos, the tinkering, the playing. Oh, look what it can do. This is shiny and amazing. Well, hold on a second. Why did you start this journey in the first place? What were you trying to achieve? Solve the problems you're trying to solve. You might get some time back, and then you can invest some time in seeing what more you could do with it.
It reminds me of Glassdoor. It's a great answer to a question that nobody had. But as I told the CEO, it's a brilliant answer to a question nobody wants. So, but nice, good work.
Yeah.
Look, I think that's been really useful. Do you want to just talk about your business in terms of outsourcing IT? Because everyone who comes to you just sees a remarkable difference, and you're not there just picking up tickets. You're being very proactive about what you do with businesses and just making sure that people are on the front foot rather than always being defensive.
Yeah, I mean, reach out to me on LinkedIn if there's anything you want to have a conversation with around tech, / Ben Fielding, my LinkedIn page. Essentially, what the people around me and I can help solve is from the mundane, from the just making sure the lights are on and everything's working and you're not being held back by your tech, through to transforming what you can do with your business. My obsession is anything email system related. That's always going to be the thing that I focus on 99% of my brain. Love it. Wouldn't stop talking about it ever. But a step back from what the actual technology is and what I'm actually looking at and helping people with, it's governance, structure, reportability, data analysis, like driving the business forward with fact and data rather than conjecture and maybe. So yeah.
When was the last time you opened an email that was longer than one paragraph?
Well, on a fairly regular basis, whether or not I read it, yeah.
Right.
If I'm not, if no one's captivated my imagination in the subject line and the first two sentences, I'm checked out. So
Okay, that's the gold I wanted you to say. And we didn't even prompt each other. That's brilliant. Ben, you're an absolute rock star. I can't rate you highly enough. Thank you for that. It's just a brilliant insight. Think once, think twice, think where you're going, and is this the answers to the question you actually genuinely have? So, thank you very much again, and I will see you soon, my brother.
lovely. Thanks, Gary.
See you later, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers.